reading of the Union Bay Improvement District to order. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This will be, I guess, the last meeting before we have the summer break. So I assume that the next regular board meeting after this one will be the one in September. I guess the first order of business, as always, is before we continue on, there will be a question period, as always, at the end of the meeting. Try and use this mic. I see now that I got to hold back. We will have a question period at the end of the meeting, as always, and the usual rules apply. So,
Peter, if I may, I don't know that we've actually discussed not meeting over the summer, but a number of issues that we have to bring forward. I think it would be prudent to have another meeting, at least in July, I guess now. But
yeah, Jim, I was just referring to the public meetings. We will have to have some in-camera meetings over the next little while, for sure. I assumed that we had followed the usual protocol that has been in place for some time, and that we didn't have meetings in July or August.
Well, when that came up, and it did come up when we set the board meetings for the year, it was suggested at that time that we had too many pressing issues to take that 2-month holiday. That was my understanding.
Peter, again, if I may, I'm just not sure how. I'm just not sure without a meeting in July or August how board business is going to be conducted. We're pretty limited in camera meetings as to what can then be brought forward by the board to be ratified at a regular public meeting. So I think there may be a need as time goes on. There may not be a need. I guess time will tell, but I think we should leave that option open that if necessary we'll have to have a regular public meeting in order to perhaps endorse any issues that come forward in the next few months.
Okay, that's a point well taken, Trustee Elliott. Perhaps what we could do is put it this way. We could leave the summer hiatus in place. However, if it is necessary to conduct a regular board meeting, then we can make a decision at that time. How about that?
Sounds good.
Okay? All right, we'll move on. The next order of business is the adoption of the agenda. So you have that in front of you. So could I get a motion to adopt the agenda as presented?
So moved. Second.
Okay, moved by Trustee Elliott, second by Trustee Lawson. Thank you. Next order of business is apparently a delegation with respect to video and audio recording of public meetings, presentation. Whoever is going to do this, please come forward and you'll be heard.
Thank you very much for your time.
I can get it, Fred.
Oh, that's a job. Well,
It's my job, though.
it's okay.
I want to do everything right the first night, right? So,
Hi, my name is Lona Jetnarag. I'm a landowner here for the last 5 years at 5633 6th Street. I've got a petition that I'd like to submit to the trustees with regard to the audio and videotaping of the board meetings. There are 61 landowners who have signed the petition to date that are requesting that these be audio and videotaped only by the current board, and they be copyrighted and placed on the Union Bay Improvement District website for the rest of the landowners to be able to go to the website and be able to view the audio video tapes as they so choose.
Thank you very much, ma'am. We will retain this presentation. As I understand it, there's going to be some ongoing discussion with respect to this matter anyway, and it will be included in these discussions. So we'll move on to the next item, number 4, approval of the minutes. An approval to adopt the meeting minutes from May 18th, 2017. We've got a copy of those here. So I would like to encourage a motion to adopt the minutes from May the 18th, 2017.
I'll put forward a motion to accept them minutes.
I second it. Okay, put forward by Trustee Lawson, seconded by Trustee Pitt. Are there any errors or omissions from those meetings that you would like to address this time? Anybody?
There was a couple little, there's one little spelling error on a name, and there was one little part I got to clean up, but me and Susanna have come to a mutual agreement to clean it up, so I'll make sure those are fixed before they're signed, Peter.
Yeah, fair enough.
Okay.
All right. So let's take a vote on the approval of the minutes from May 18, 2017. Those voting to approve the minutes, raise your hands. Okay. All right. Those not approving it, raise your hand. No? Okay. All right. The minutes are approved, and we'll move on to this. The next item of business is business arising from regular or in-camera board meeting minutes and reports. There has been no in-camera meetings since our last regular public meeting. Is that correct?
Yes.
It is, yeah. Okay, so there's no business arising from that. So next we get to the meat of the matter here, and these are reports. And Gordon, I'll turn this over to you. This is the CAO's report from Mr. Gordon Mason for the last month.
Okay, when you get to my age, as many of you could probably attest, great big print here so I can read it, right? Anyways. So I put these on the website ahead of time so that everybody can kind of have a look at it in the future. So, I'll try and get them on 2 or 3 days ahead of time because it's kind of a moving target from my perspective as far as getting them in and getting them all done. So what I'll do is I'll try and get them on like 3 or 4 days before the meeting, and then you'll have a chance to read them before the meeting. And then I won't have to spend a whole bunch of time going through them all, and I'll kind of give you the Coles Notes version. But feel free to ask any questions during it. So that's what I did this time, and I went through it all. I had it on, I think, 3 days ago, or 2 days ago probably. But next time I'll get it on a little bit earlier, and then as they change, I'll just change the revision on there, right? So, okay. So the water billing and financial accounting, this has been a little bit of a challenge for us because Martin G., the previous administrator, was fairly new as well as me, and the software that we're using is called Brightwater, and it's a very old, antiquated system, and it's difficult. It's difficult to use, and it doesn't mesh very well with our Sage accounting. So we've had our challenges trying to get it to work and trying to get everything to line up. So there has been some billing issues. And I'll be honest with you, there probably will be some billing issues going forward for the next one. But I'm working with some of the other administrators throughout Vancouver Island, and one of them in one of the biggest and busiest areas just happened to be my wife's best friend. So that's great, because Donna's gonna give me a hand and help me out, and so we should be able to get this cleaned up in the next few months, and you should be able to see a bit of an improvement on your billing. And I have a little bit of billing experience from my past as well. When I worked for Fortis, we did a lot of billing from the gas perspective as well. So the water filtration project, not a lot has really changed on that since the last meeting with that information that Martin presented. We went to bid, and we received 2 bids from 2 different suppliers, and we've taken quite a bit of time to look into those bids. One of them came in and it had a bit of a few little issues with it, so we went back to them and we've asked for some further information, but we also asked them to extend their pricing to what the actual RFP said. So they've agreed to do that. So that's why we canceled that public meeting, because we thought we were going to have to, make a decision sooner than later. But I was able to talk to our engineer. He wrote a letter to the supplier, and we got we got it extended. And that's a really good thing from our perspective, because it really helps us when we're thinking about what our next steps are as far as the water filtration plant goes. Make sure I don't miss anything.
When do you think we'll make a final, be able to look at that? When would they get back to us?
Well, we have until July 31st to award the contract. So, and a lot of there's quite a few little factors that are involved with the awarding of the contract, as you're well aware. With regards to where we end up putting it, the size of it, and so we have to kind of dot a few I's and cross a few T's from the water agreement perspective, and once we get that figured out, then we'll be able to we'll have a lot better understanding where we are with the contract. So that's why it was really important from my perspective to make sure I pushed that contract, to make sure I pushed that manufacturer out till January, July. So it gave us a little bit of breathing room.
So they're not changing it. They were a month short. They didn't.
No, I don't know, but the engineers are actually.
Our engineers are reviewing the quotes to make sure that they're meeting the RFQ. Is that correct?
Yeah, I put together 9 items and I sent it back to the engineering firm, 2 cores. When I went through the one bid, because there was a number of things that were missing from my perspective, right? Like there was no. Here's an example. Like they didn't charge us PST, right? So. And the other one did. So there's some real obvious things there that were missing, and I don't want to get into it because I'm just not sure from a contract perspective. But yeah, there was 7 or 8 things, and then I sent my list to Coors, and Coors was going to go through it as well, and then we were going to meet up next. We're going to meet next week and review them all, and then we're going to finalize which ones are, because some of mine are almost the exact same as theirs, just worded a little bit differently. So, yeah, and we'll have the information back. Still in lots of time. We'll still have probably 6 weeks before we actually have to make a decision regarding the filtration plant. So as far as informing Island Health goes, this is another area that once we get through our decision regarding the water, lost my name of it now. Just wait a second. Once we get through the water infrastructure agreement, and we figure out exactly what we're going to do from that perspective and exactly where we're going to put the plant, then I'll have a little more solid information to be able to go back to Island Health with. And I want to make sure that I have a really good strategic plan to be able to present to them with solid dates and solid information, and not go back, well, we might do this, like a lot of hypothetical stuff. I want to make sure it's very solid and strategic from our perspective. so that we have some very good information to go back to them with. I want to make sure that, that from my perspective as an administrator, I'm very transparent with the landowners here. And one of the things that when we have meetings with either KIP or Island Health or the provincial government, I want to make sure that I'll bring as much information forward as I can that I can bring forward. So we had a meeting with Brian McMahon from KIP last week, and James Madison, the facilitator from the provincial government for the water agreement, and it was a good meeting. We got a lot solved during that meeting, and we changed a lot of things within the water infrastructure agreement proposal from KIP, and we still have, like, it came back, and there's still a few things that need to be tweaked with it for sure, and we're going to continue to work with them, and so we'll be meeting with the board in probably some early next week to have a committee of the whole meeting or an in-camera meeting to be able to run through this agreement and discuss it with the board at that time.
Gordon, if I just might interject there, you talking about you had a meeting with Brian and James, and then you start talking about Jim. I just don't want there to be any confusion. I think we all here know who we're talking about, but with other landowners that may be reading this may not be quite aware. So if we could be consistent and call him James throughout the document, if that's what he likes.
Absolutely, yeah, okay. Yeah.
Just don't put your hand up.
Well, you're the real water expert anyways. Okay, and the bylaw 263, audio video recording sections 54 to 56. I spent quite a bit of time on this over the last month, as you can probably all well imagine, to be able to get some good solid information. So I did a bunch of benchmarking work with municipalities, regional districts, and other improvement districts to find out what's going on in the other areas and what are they doing for the same situation. And what I found out was that this isn't really an issue in the majority of municipalities, regional districts, or improvement districts. It's just not an issue, and it's not. A lot of the information isn't written in their meetings procedures bylaw, and so it's pretty unusual to us. I'll be honest with you. Like when I went through, looked at it, a lot of other municipalities do tape their meetings and they put them on their website, and anybody can go on their website and view it from their website. And that's one of the ideas that I really like from our perspective, because then you go on and you view it online. Nobody can take the video offline and do whatever they want with it, and that's probably what I would recommend. And as far as the motion that we brought forward last time, I also talked to the ministry, and we cannot break our own rules. So what we did was all for the right reasons, but we can't break our own rules. So I did find that out as well, and I did put together a proposal, and I haven't showed the board yet because I wanted to get a legal opinion on it first, and so I've sent it to the board, and I just got that back this afternoon, and I didn't really have too much of a chance to have a look at it, and but it's very close to what you talk. And I don't want to talk about it too much because I haven't even presented the information from the lawyer to the board yet, but it's very close to what you talked about there, right? And what I talked about being able to record our own meetings, put it on the website, and then people can view the public meetings from the website. And that's the higher level view of it, but that's basically what it is. I mean, everybody's got their opinion on this too as well, right?
So I guess on that, eventually as we evolve and adopt some new process, we will have to repeal or replace the existing bylaw, and until such time as we do that, can you hear me? I think everybody can hear me. Until such time as we do that, it's my understanding that there's a process in the bylaw that outlines if a member of the public wish to record the meeting that they need to follow. And so if someone is to follow that process, then they would be allowed to record the meeting in the interim until that's changed.
Yep, absolutely. Like the way the bylaw reads right now, and I don't have it in front of me. I wish I would have copied it before I came, but I didn't. But I'll give you my version of it. And basically, what it is if somebody wants to record the meeting before our bylaw is changed, they have to write me. They have to provide me something in writing, either through a letter or through an email. And then at the beginning of the meeting, the chair has to ask me, has anybody asked to record at this meeting? And I say, yes, John Smith has asked to record at this meeting, right? So then it's fine. But there's other rules on there as well that quotes what they can actually do with that as well. So, it's basically, they can record it, they can use it, but they can't use it for other reasons, I would like to be able to read the actual bylaw, but I don't have a copy of it handy. So
I got it right here.
Oh, do you?
Favorite bylaw.
I'd just like to say something before we continue here. Trustee Bitton made a motion last meeting that we suspend the portion of that bylaw, I believe 61.3.
Do you want that? Or?
Yeah, sure.
And we did do that. Now, in actual fact, we can't do that, okay? We can't suspend a bylaw. I didn't know that, and I apologize for making that decision. However, it's rather odd in that we can't suspend a bylaw, yet we can apply to have one rescinded or amended. And I guess the reason for that is that if you suspend the bylaw, then you leave a vacuum there, and there's nothing there, right? So as I understand it, I actually phoned the ministry about this. That's the reason why you can't suspend the bylaw. I just want to make sure, just to clarify that point. And I believe Trustee Elliott at the time pointed that out, actually.
Yeah.
And so that's where we're at with it now. With respect to where we go with this, that will be have to take place after Gordon's done his work, and we'll have to sit down and look at it and where we go from there.
Yeah, well, I just want to make a correction on that point that after Jim's letting me know that we couldn't suspend the bylaw, I did not suspend the bylaw. I suspended public audio video recording during our meetings due to Article 61 in Bylaw 263, where I felt it was being abused. And that's actually the correct procedure, and I don't understand why you would have something in a bylaw that can't be enforced. And it's Article 61 actually allows you to take action if you feel something is being abused, and that's exactly what I did. And I can read you my motion here, but my motion was corrected to say that I just suspended. I didn't suspend the bylaw after Jim brought it to my attention, so I corrected myself and suspended the public audio video recording. So I think Gordon checked into it, and it's as usual, most things in the improvement district code of conduct or bylaws can't be enforced, unfortunately. So again, it's important that the rules are followed, and that was also my other point, that Article 54 wasn't being followed, and also the camera wasn't being shut off during public questioning period. And we're liable if somebody decides, I don't know if we're liable or what would happen, but if somebody in the public protested that they were being recorded, that could come back to us. So those are my points.
Okay, thank you.
Just to clarify, the public has to state
No.
when they get up and speak that they don't wish to be recorded.
Excuse me. Okay, so let's read as it's read here. Just gotta find it. finish reading it. Oh, there shall be no recording of the gallery or individual members of the public, particularly minors.
What it is from the copyright perspective, and I got it right from I had a conversation with the lawyer, is that when I had my chat with the lawyer regarding this, what it came down to, to back up what Rick said there, if a member of the public requests not to be recorded, the camera has to be shut off. But that member of the public has to request that.
Well, it's not,
Okay,
but
but if it's
the
a
bylaw's written though, and we need to go by the bylaws.
yeah, our bylaw may need a little bit of work then.
Yeah.
And also if there's any minors here, like they can't be filmed and they can't be caught on camera.
How about loggers?
What's that? So yeah, that's basically what.
Well, what I find is strange that we're such stickler with all the rules except the rules that are written in the bylaws. So that's my point. And I was asked how somebody was breaking the rules. That's not my obligation to do that. The rules are written. The rules are here to follow. They're very clear. I understand them.
There's also one other one here that you didn't read that I was looking for. It says the use of digital and social media recordings, for example, Twitter, blogging, or audio recording, will also be allowed as long as it's carried out in a non-destructive manner.
That's the key.
But I'm just reading the bylaw here, so
Okay, are you finished, Gordon?
yeah, I'm finished. Yeah.
How close are we making a decision on this? How close, you got your information fairly close?
Yeah, I just got the information. I just got the information back from the lawyer like this afternoon, and I just haven't really had a chance to digest it because I've been getting ready for this meeting and.
Oh yeah, so we're fairly
yeah.
close. What I'm saying, we're fairly close to going forward and making a decision. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So no, I've got the motion done and it's ready to go. It just needs to be basically approved by the board, and then from there it's the usual procedure. Then it has to go to the inspector of municipalities for approval, and then it's done. So.
Sounds good.
And I talked to the inspector of municipalities. I didn't talk to her herself, but I talked to her advisor as well on this, and then I basically got the advice directly from them. So, yeah.
Yeah, thanks. Trustee Bitton, I certainly understand what you're trying to do. I appreciate why you're trying to do it. My issue is you are painting all members of the public with the same brush. You're saying there would be no public recording of the meeting. And that looks like where we're headed to. But not to split hairs, but your motion was banning everybody in the public. Yes, it was. I have it right in front of me here. The motion was to suspend audio video recording at the Union Bay Improvement District Board meeting so the board can evaluate the options available. So you were painting everybody with the same brush, and that was all the point I was trying to make. I was not trying to negate your concerns on this issue. So that is the reason why it is not appropriate to suspend the bylaw, because you could have made a motion naming an individual saying that person would no longer be able to take subject to that item 51. That would have been fine. But to ask that no one be allowed because of issues with one person is not the correct way to do it. But let's not belabor this point. We've got other stuff to talk.
Well, I just wanted to speak to your comments, Jim, because certainly I thought of that. And, I've been thinking about this whole thing for a long time, and it almost, to be very honest with you, was weighing on my mind heavily before I ran for a trustee again. And again, these sorts of things, they actually limit the amount of people that will run for our trustees because of these cyberbullying and things that are happening. So I dedicated myself to the fact that I was going to take care of this. So Again, if I'd restricted one person, then the camera would have been passed to another person, and the same thing would happen. So I want to get control of it, and I want it to be copyrighted. And I have no problem with audio-video recording in any way, shape, or form. I just want the cyberbullying to end.
Good.
Okay, let's move on. Gordon.
Yeah, I got two more things to talk
Yeah.
about, so.
I was just gonna pass the mic to you.
Yeah, thanks. Okay, so I've had a couple of emails and a nice letter dropped off in the mailbox that it wasn't signed regarding parcel taxes. A nice little right?
Was there a check with it? or-
No, there was no check, and there was no little brown envelope or anything, right? So, anyways, I did have a very high level look at this, and because I've just started and I'm just getting used to all these systems. A lot of the stuff that shows up on our financial report is just timing issues, right? Because of and some of the issues we've had with the billing. Like we sent a lot of bills out later, and then so it's just timing when the money comes in and the money goes out, right? So. And yes, we do have some arrears, and absolutely we do. And we have people that haven't paid their taxes for a long time as well, and they haven't paid their water bills. And but that's always a very tough thing. Like I was involved in the gas business for 25 years, and credit collection was always one of those things that you never like to do because you had to shut people's gas off and they were going to be cold, right? And we had certain restrictions from the Utilities Commission. We couldn't shut the gas off during cold winter months and stuff, right? But come summertime, we were shutting the gas off, and one of the things that I'm going to bring forward to the board once I have a little bit more time to look at it is putting this out to a third party contractor to be able to collect it. So and then it kind of takes the personal part of it away from us, and then they will go out and they will take a very small percentage of it, and they're experts at it. Like they'll go after the people who haven't paid. They make it very impersonal, and they do an excellent job. So I just haven't had a time to chance to get into it yet. So I'm gonna do a little bit of benchmarking work with some of the people that I used to work with at Fortis, from a billing end of it, and find out who they use, and I'll also do some benchmarking work with some of the other water districts on the island here, because this isn't a problem just to us, right? So other people are facing the same thing. So I'll get some information and I'll bring it back to the next meeting, what we're going to do, and I'll bring it to the board as well. We can get a decision at that time.
I'm glad you have looked into that. I know that our previous administrator had done significant work on that issue, and in addition to consulting with your connection to Fortis, it may well be useful to consult with him, and he was following. It's a very clear process,
Yeah.
and actually was successful in bringing back money to Union Bay. I think it was about $30,000.
I think it's more than that.
No, I'm not saying what was
Okay.
still owing, but he actually brought.
No, I think he brought more than that back.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
the numbers I've seen so far, looks like it's even more than that.
So there
So
are people who are doing so out of hardship, and then there are people who are doing it just as a form of protest. Either way, it's money owed to to Union Bay Improvement District, and we are facing a very large expenditure. So I'm glad you're following up on
yeah, because you look at it from a maintenance perspective as well. Like we're maintaining the pipe and everything else that goes along with the water flow that that's going to their properties as well. So we still have to maintain all this stuff at the same time. So
Yeah.
absolutely. Next item is on here is committees. So as you can all see, I'm a pretty good guy. So we need some of you guys to come and help support us and get on some of these committees, right? And so the sooner the better. So we have a look on the website. There's some information there about the committees, and if you're interested, put your hand up and or come and see me after the meeting, and I'll get your names. And we need it for the fire department, public works, and the remuneration for the trustees. So yeah, so we only have 2 or 3 names so far. So if you're interested, put your name forward, and I'll probably help support and get the meeting started. And then after that, you'll be on your own. So okay, and that's my report. Geez, that wasn't that bad.
Fine job, thank you.
Could I have that? Okay, so the next item is the fire chief's report. And it's a fairly short one, so I'll just read it out. The primary purpose of this report is to keep the Union Bay Improvement District Board informed as to the activities and progress on major programs and/or objectives. The department responded to 5 incidents in May, 3 first responders, 1 motor vehicle incident, and 1 fire detector that was activated, but there's no fire. Total time work, 2 hours, 28 minutes. Average time on call, 29 minutes. And total number of responders, 11. Average number of responders, 3. There are no open fire bans in place. Refer to the BC Wildlife Management Branch's website for the latest information on current restrictions if anybody is concerned about whether they have a campfire or not. Training, 1 member completed their START course. I'm not quite sure what that means. I guess it's an acronym for something. This course is designed, there you go. This course is designed to teach firefighters self-rescue techniques. Another member has taken their fire service instructor level 2 course in Maple Ridge, and that member was successful in receiving $2,000 in grant money from the FCABC at the convention last year. Most importantly, vehicles and vehicle safety. Comox E33. The engine we are proposing to purchase underwent a mechanical and safety inspection as part of the pre-purchase agreement. It was found to be mechanically sound and in good condition except for the tires. The tires on our engine 25, the one being disposed of, are in excellent condition, so they were installed on the engine being purchased. This resulted in substantial savings to the improvement district. I can add to that, I just signed a check here the other day for $21,000 for that truck. Now, we had budgeted $30,000 for it. And I see from Chief Jackson's comments here, they've already did the mechanical and safety inspection, so I think we got one heck of a deal on that vehicle. The other thing also, just in the, and I just throw it out there, is that I see that Mount Washington is going ahead with establishing their own fire department. So I'm wondering if anybody up there is interested in purchasing a fire package. We might be able to, with crappy tires. We might be able to work something out here yet.
For 25, for 25,000.
There you go. Anyway, membership, the current strength is 20 members. Not fire hall, nothing new to report yet. Occupational health and safety, nothing new to report. And public relations, nothing new to report. So we'll go on to the water report from, again, Mr. Dan McGill. This is kind of interesting. Langley Lake. The lake is starting to grow lily pads, and the grass and the weeds are catching up quickly. There's been a lot of elk on the dam walls eating brush on the lake slope of the dam. This is causing large holes and even mud along the side of the dam. A large brush cutter should be hired to cut all this brush, and maybe some shoring could go on top to prevent brush from growing and keeping the elk away. The new deep water intake is not producing the clean water it has in the past. The turbidity was not dropping as it should, and the lake turning over was my suspicion. However, after turning on the old intake on March 27th, the turbidity has been very good. May 16th, they turned on the deep water intake, and the same bad results occurred. I would like to get a dive team together to video and clean the intake structure. This is an expensive job, around $3,000, but is not being done for 5 years. And as the water quality has changed just this year, it is time. The culverts behind the lake have all but number one have stopped flowing, and the lake is holding at 1 centimeter. Now, as I understand it, the 1 centimeter means that's the water going over the spillway of the dam. So it doesn't mean that the lake's only got 1 centimeter of water. There has been a few repairs that have had a big impact on the system, dropping flows by 3.0 liter per second and lowering chlorine usage. First Street repair was completed by replacing the service line from main to meter by moiling under the road. The leak was in the middle of the road and the main line was under the pavement as well. Beaufort Road was an emergency repair of the service line blown out of the corporation stop. This happened at 6:30 Friday evening, and I was out of town. An emergency call to J.R. Edgett was called in to repair the leak and install a new service from main to meter. Unfortunately, this repair cost $3,148.95. Matter of fact, Trustee Bitton and Loxon and myself were on the scene of this particular leak, but we really didn't have any choice. The water was coming out of there. We thought that the main line had actually burst, but it hadn't. 4748 Kilmarnock was a longitudinal split, 6 inches past the corp stop. The back truck was rented. That's what that bill was for. Yes, okay. The back truck was rented as there was hydro pole, telephone, gas, water main line and service all in the excavation area. Service was replaced from main to meter. The community hall pump house broken 2-inch valve from water hammer caused by the baseball. Water stats, in 0.55 NTU, out 0.50 NTU. Chlorine 1.45 parts per million free. Tank level 20 centimeters from full. Water temp 12.9 degrees Celsius. Water consumption 510 cubic meters per day. And the Langley Lake height 1 centimeter, as mentioned. And those are the fire and public works reports. So could I get a motion to have those reports filed?
Actually, I missed one report.
Did you?
I missed the financial report, if you noticed
Okay.
there. So
So we'll let you handle that one.
yeah, I'll just run through it quickly here and the highlights. And,
Okay, then we'll ask for a motion for all.
yeah,
three.
absolutely. We just don't want to get ahead of ourselves here. So
All right.
on the consolidated financial statement, some of the things that stuck out for me is there's a 536.2% variance, and that's on miscellaneous revenue. And that was when the guys went down and installed so that's a good thing. They went down and they installed the BC Ferries meter set there, and so we basically, made $5,000 for the improvement district from that perspective. The other one that we're over budget on is the audit and accounting, and that's the result of the election. Martin G brought in some accounting people to help with accounting reports from, and it cost us lots. So that's why we're over budget already, and so we're about $5,000 over budget. But there's a good chance that we can, if we're careful, we can catch that up towards the end of the year, right? So. The other one that's subcontractors, I think that's more of a timing issue. I was looking through the actual expenditures, and we're about like 19% over year to date. But I think that's more of a timing issue, and if we're careful from both the fire department and the public works perspective, we should be able to bring that in line towards the end of the year. Remuneration administration, we're right on target there, but we'll probably have a little bit more of a hit with the overlap between me and Martin in May. So it's just unavoidable, right? So, and the last thing there is 96% year to date for insurance. So we're at 96.6% of our budget for vehicles. And that's just timing issue with insurance. Like we buy our insurance early in the year, we pay for it early, and then we have insurance all year, right? So we're not going to be going out and buying insurance again towards the end of the year. So, and those are the only ones that really stuck out from my perspective as far as, and mostly all the other stuff is good. We're under budget on, and And information technology, we're about 24% over there. But I think that's another thing that we'll be able to catch it up towards. We probably had a larger expenditure early in the year, and it's just a timing issue. We should be able to make that up towards the end of the year. So I think from a budget perspective, we're doing okay so far.
Yeah, I think shortly after Martin arrived, the computers crashed.
Yeah, the whole server crashed and everything, right? So.
Okay, thanks very much, Gordon. Okay, so could I get a motion to have these reports filed for reference?
Motion to accept.
Seconder. Okay, motion by trustee Loxton, second by trustee Benton, and we will file these reports.
Who was that? Locksmith and Big?
Yeah. So moving on to old business, there's nothing listed here. New other business to be determined, I gather. Is that what you mean by that?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. I put it on there in case something came in, but nothing did, so. Unless I missed something, trustees, if I have, bring it forward, or forever hold your peace.
No, other than our meetings regarding
Yep.
several items.
Yeah.
Okay, correspondence. We got an email from Ms. Janet Thomas, a 20-signature petition. Now I gather this has something to do with what we discussed earlier, the bylaw about filming the videotaping the meetings.
Would you like me to read it?
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
Okay, would you please put the attached letter on the agenda for the next UBID board meeting? As you'll see, the attached, there are 20 people who are strongly against suspending bylaw 263 concerning video recordings of the public meetings under any conditions. And there's 20 signatures.
Okay, and we will take that along with the delegation presented earlier into consideration when we discuss this bylaw and what we can come up with.
Yeah, and just to add, the actual body of the petition simply recognizes that for many people, due to work
yes.
or disability, that videotaping, being able to access videotaping is really important in terms of keeping the public informed. So it's online with basically wanting videotaping or wanting landowners to have a means of accessing what happens.
Even some people from Comox, it looks like. Yeah.
Here.
Okay, we'll keep that when we, along with the other petition. And, so the next, number 10, we'll now entertain questions from the audience. Anybody have anything they wish to bring forward? Yes, ma'am.
Susan Hargreaves, I just want to know when petitions go around, does anybody check the signatures as to whether or not they reside in Union Bay and whether or not they are a landowner and all that sort of jazz?
That's a good point. I haven't personally checked that because, quite frankly, I wouldn't know all the signatures on there. I can only assume that the lady, one lady, Ms. Jettenrog is here right now, and I'm sure she can attest to. Would you like to say a word on that?
Just a response, Susan. The 61 signed petition that was sent around, there was a responsibility to put your address beside it. Now, verifying your address with the signature, that step hasn't been taken, but the fact that there is an address attached to the signature suggests that they are landowners.
Okay, anybody else? Yes.
Dave Godfrey. The administrator, this is primarily to the administrator. You mentioned the gating, and this has been something that's been ongoing for about the last 10 years. that there was considerable problems with the right water billing system. Is there another system out there that the improvement district might consider to replace that system, because it seems to cause problems?
Yes, actually, I've got a meeting on Monday. Monday, I'm pretty sure I've got a meeting to look at another program already that two of the municipalities, Cowichan Bay and what's that? Cedar are looking at right now, and they are going like kind of in a joint venture to buy this together. And so I've asked them to come up, and it's a conference call. The company's out of Vancouver, and it seemed like a really slick system. It's a combination where the billing and the financial part are tied together, so it's all a nice fit. And it's very similar to what we used to use at Fortis, where we used a product called Itron. I mean, it's a massive program that more deals with companies with 50 or 60,000 customers at a minimum, right? So, but it's similar to that, and it's supposed to be fairly reasonable as well. And so I just wanted to look into it and see what else is out there. So absolutely, I've already had a look. I'm starting the process as we speak. So.
Yes, sir. Down here.
Yeah, Spence Road. I was on the fire committee for a couple of years, and considerable work had been done in determining location for a new fire station, and considerable progress had been made. And quite frankly, and you well know, we're really in a tough position with respect to that old fire hall and damage that can be done through leakage, rain, all that sort of stuff. We were very close to moving ahead. We were going almost on the verge of tenders. Where is it? Why is it not happening?
I guess the reason for that is the property that we're going to put the fire hall on.
There was a property that was being examined and based as the site for going ahead, which we owned.
Yes, I understand that, but also there has been a much more desirable property available, and as a matter of fact, although I can't get into it too much, that may be happening a lot quicker than what we thought. And I refer to the property offered to us by Kensington in the master development plan. That's up just off the 4 lanes up here. It's an excellent piece of property, a lot more space, easy access to the highway. So that's what's, I guess, basically holding it up right now.
But can I comment too? The other thing is that committee was shut down even before we got started. That committee was closed from the previous board. So that's a good question you have, because I'm sure there's information there that we could use. But as far as gathering it, I haven't even seen it, because the committee was closed down before we even got started, this board.
Well, there are other committee members, but Kevin was in attendance in every meeting, so that information should be available to you.
Could
Should be. Yeah.
As a matter of fact, sir, I saw a detailed plan for a new fire hall in the office there. That's there. From what I can see, it's all ready to go. Now, whether, this is just a very, I guess, quick glance at what was there, and I'm not an engineer, far from it, but I do know that you're right. There is a lot of information there that can be used, and I would expect it probably will be good. Yes, sir.
2 questions. Is this property going to be owned outright by us?
Yes, it will.
It will.
Yes.
And is that within the 8 kilometers zone to the people of Mystery Beach so that they can get fire insurance?
Yes, it should be. Yeah. Yes.
It should be.
Yeah. Well, you tell me. How far is the 4 lanes from Buffalo Bay?
It's on the other side of the lanes, isn't it?
No, it's not. It's just past the bridge on the left, the log house there, there has been an area set aside for a fire hall in there. And that's in the master development plan that Kensington proposed.
So it's beyond the 4 lanes?
No, it's about, yeah.
Closer to the bridge.
Yeah,
Halfway down.
It's about a half a kilometer from the present fire hall. To the north.
It's right where the log house, the access to it would be where the log house is.
Okay? Yes, sir.
I've got a question and a comment regarding the proposed property for the fire hall. I've been on the fire department. I've also been on the committee and seen numerous proposals for a new fire hall and or the other property lies that we currently own. Yet, the concept of getting free property from Kensington is interesting, but until they subdivide, we cannot get property from them.
Yes.
I've seen no movement in terms of Kensington actually subdividing this property. Their proposal in terms of the regional district has not been approved. It's not gone anywhere further forward. Ergo, the property they're proposing to give to us is not theirs to give until it's actually subdivided. Until they go forward with the whole proposal for their development, there is no property.
Yes, on that, I will make one comment. The present negotiations we have with Kensington includes the land for the fire hall. Okay, I can't say any more than that, but that's part of the deal.
No, I realize that, but until they subdivide,
Yeah, well,
property.
that's why we made it part of this deal, not the master development plan. So we're hoping that we can do that. It's going to take some cooperation from the regional district, but as I understand it, they're more than anxious to see us get on with what we have to do here. So can't really say much more than that right now. Yes, sir.
So does the property for the water treatment plant fall into that category too?
Yes. Yeah.
Owned outright by us though?
Yes.
If they subdivide.
We're in negotiations.
Yes, sir.
Keith Goldsmith, you know me.
Yes.
I've got a couple of comments.
Yeah.
One is on this outstanding parcel tax.
Yes.
And it's a timing issue concerning the payment of parcel tax and road tolls. Well, I don't seem to have any problem getting bills from you guys. They come right on time. But the outstanding parcel and road toll bills are outstanding since last year. At the end of your financial year, the auditor showed a $50,000 amount outstanding. And that's 6 months ago. Has anything been done to collect that?
Not yet, no. We addressed this earlier, that Mr. Gordon is going to look into perhaps one of the suggestions is to have a third party perform the collection for us, and there are people that do that, and that might be the way to go. This is something that we have to sit down and talk about.
Okay, the other thing I was wanted to talk about, you keep referring to wanting to copyright your meetings. Now, as I understand the copyright laws, a group cannot copyright a meeting. Copyright is intellectual property. Now, if you invent a better mousetrap, you can patent it. Or if you write a new song or write a book, that you can copyright. It's your intellectual property. A board, whatever they say, is not intellectual property. And it cannot be copyrighted.
Actually, Cleve, I could speak to that. We had a lady that did training for us. Cleve. I could speak to that. We had a lady, Alice, that did training for us, very versed in government rules and protocol. She's actually the one that mentioned it. I've actually been on several websites researching it myself, and it's not owned by the board, it's owned by the improvement district, and it's copyrighted. It's if you go on the internet, you can see it's quite common in other operations. Municipalities as such, actually when municipalities get TV stations to come and record, it's copyrighted.
Is the board considered an entity?
I don't know what the the ruling is, but I see that it's copyrighted. It's stated by the municipalities. It's quite common. And actually, the lady that trained us was the one that told us about it.
Yes.
Noni Godfrey, I'm just curious, what phone number do we dial on the weekends if a neighbor has a very large fire and it looks like it's getting out of control? We tried the numbers that they're supposed to call and got answering machines.
911?
Can you call 911 for a fire like that?
Yeah, they.
I would. If it looks like it's, might take off and take your house down by all means.
Oh, yeah,
You
it was
call
like 10 feet by 10
911
feet.
and the
It was a
duty
big one.
officer is sent out, assesses it, and from there, there's a call made. Either you gotta put the fire out, or he calls the trucks in to put it out for you. Simple as that.
See, I didn't want to call
Thank you for that.
911 because it wasn't really an emergency at the time, but now that I know you can, we certainly will, if that happens again. Thank you.
Okay, anybody else? Yes, sir.
I brought up the shift work people in the fire department. There's constant signs out there for daily, we need daytime firefighters. Well, I have a comment. So I'm an honorary fireman. I was on it for a while. My kind of argument is, it says, they turned my son away about 2 years ago. He didn't come back very, it wasn't a good experience for him, put it that way. My argument being is training cost and logistics. Now, training costs. We're providing water, fire protection, and street lighting. It's great to have trained firefighters, but you could get a lot of daytime firefighters that are trained to fight fires and save your home, rather than spending the money to train firefighters to fight fires in skyscrapers. So there's a lot of money going out in the fire department to get these highly trained courses that for our community really sometimes aren't necessary. It's probably thousands of dollars, and we're training these people and they're leaving, becoming professional firefighters. So there would be a lot of training that could be done and have people here during the day to fight fires in
A lot
houses.
of it comes down to the insurance perspective and the way the curriculum is laid out. Like from a whole insurance perspective, it's just not that easy from the training perspective. In order to get our insurance for the firefighters, there is a curriculum that we have to follow from a fire part. We just can't go, okay, we're not going to train on this because it doesn't make sense for our local community. It doesn't work that way.
No, well, what happened is the fire department changed and a lot of things were brought in that really weren't necessary, and the things that were brought in meant that you had to have higher trained people to keep up with what was brought in. It's just sad to see signs, daytime firefighters needed, all the time. We have a very low rate of people here during the day, so it almost created something worse. It created such a high standard that these people had to be trained to keep up with the programs that were brought into Union Bay that weren't there before.
Maybe Susan could answer that question.
Well, it's.
Well, I don't need an answer.
But I think for general information, there were volunteer firefighters died in fires because they were improperly trained or they did not have the gear that they needed for a safe entry or firefighting. So the government has come out, and it's 10:01, and people entering in, even the volunteer fire department, have to go through that process because we have to be trained to a certain level to take and maintain our own safety. And that is a program set out by the government.
It's always been like that.
Well, it has been very upgraded since, I joined 10 years ago. And what I learned 10 years ago isn't what I'm learning now.
No, I know, but
the other thing is too, is you can have all the trained firefighters in the world, but if they work out of town and if they work away from the community, then when the fire happens in the community, you're basically left with the few people that are here that will get the equipment out, and then people on their jobs will have to come from their jobs in Courtney or wherever they're working and help. And we also put out for the other fire departments to take and come and assist us until such time.
I was asking a question, but my argument being is when the siren goes off and nobody answers it, there is numerous people that do shift work that are on a 7 and 7 or a 4 and 4. That's 4 days constant. They're sitting at their house during the day. That's 7 days in a row that somebody's sitting at their house ready to go. They don't have to, it's just, it needs to be looked at.
I understand the point you make. There's resources there that we could be availing ourselves.
They could work it out.
They still have to
Yeah.
have the training.
Oh, yeah, but it's not a question of training, Susan, I didn't mean that, but yes.
They need the training, but you've got to work around the training to make it work. And it doesn't, my son went down there, he did not want to make it work. The fire chief did not want to make it work.
Okay. Well, anyway, yeah, it's an ongoing concern. I mean, this community, it's not just the fire
Look at a
department.
sign every day.
Yeah, I know. Yes, sir.
Yeah, just a point of information, and it's to the same point that you're raising, and you are as well, Gordon, in terms of insurance. So we're insured by these large insurance companies that have their standards. And if your truck is too old, if your pump is not to a certain standard, they won't insure you, right? So then yours and my insurance rates go up because Union Bay can't be insured because the equipment isn't sufficient. So how it relates to the fire hall is that these trucks that we're buying are getting bigger and more expensive. They won't fit in the fire hall. So we're going to spend $200,000 someday on a fire truck that you'll have to leave outside. And it won't last as a resource. So that's, my concern is with the fire department and with my home and with my fire insurance. Let's get it done. Let's get the hall. Let's get young men in some fashion out to be mentored as becoming fire people. There's got to be a way of doing it, folks.
I'm getting the idea that these people are, when these guys go in there, they're selective as far as like the young people that volunteer. They have limitations, and it sounds like there's regulations going on where if a person's available for 4 or 5 days a week, they want somebody all the time. Well, that's not how life goes.
No.
So I think with a committee, like you talked about, and I hope you get on that committee, that you go ahead and they have to have the provisions because of shift work and other kind of work. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah.
Because what they're doing is they're limiting you to, unless you're available 24/7, then you cannot be a volunteer fireman.
And my son went down there very excited to join, and he came back very upset. The chief was. But another argument is in the old days you had to live in the district, right, to be a firefighter, and that's not being followed.
Well, I think that can be a good point, and it can be
right. So if you can accept people out of the district to be on the fire department, but you can't accept shift people in the community to be on the fire department, something's wrong.
Okay.
This gentleman here's had his hand up a number of times.
Over here.
I'd like to address the issue too of the fire department. I joined 25 years ago approximately or more. I've done it for 10 years. Things were totally different then. We had a fire chief that was one, elected by the members. It was not based on anything rational. It was just, he might do a good job. And ultimately, that person did a good job. They worked hard at it. True enough, we now have a paid position for a fire chief. One of the reasons is the amount of paperwork involved. The paperwork involvement has gone exponential. It's incredible. Now, partially we created our own problems, but the other side of the coin is it's insurance and government regulations. That's why we have a fire chief He's a guy that does not show up to fires. He's a guy that pushes the pen, sits in the office, whatever. So truthfully, where he lives is not an issue. As far as people living in the district, being, or to be in the fire department, you have to live in the district. That rule still applies. It's only the fire chief who does live in the district. He's a pusher. That's it. Now, as far as the other regulations go, yes, it is tougher and tougher to get the fire department. The amount of training you need is gone up exponential also. When I joined, it was very simple.
Well, I was on there with you.
Yeah. You do your training on the job, right?
Yeah, but
now,
can you see, Hein, would you
but
like
no
young
longer
guys?
is that allowed.
Would you like young guys in the fire
I
department
know,
to join?
but that is rules
They
and
can make it
regulations
work.
by the government.
They can still train them.
You can train, but you have to, in order to be a fireman or a fire personnel, you have to go through the government training.
Which they would do.
Then what's
Okay,
the problem? If he's willing to do it.
Mr. Godfrey?
Well, I have a couple of items and they all kind of tie together. And it's basically to the administrator. Since 2016, there have been no minutes or landowners updates posted to the website. We're now into the 6th month. I mean, we've had 5 meetings. Those under news, the last minutes were, I believe, the December or November of last year. So there's a lag there, and I understand there's concerns, not only by myself, but others in the community. We talk about informing the public. Well, the best way to inform the public is to have your minutes online. They're not there. And the landowners' updates aren't there. As far as the fire ban, it was mentioned, now this was reported for May, but I know that about a week ago, the fire ban went into effect for all coastal areas. So that information should be posted to our website.
It is.
It's on there now?
Yeah, it was on there last week.
Okay.
It was on the day that it came out. June 7th is when it came out.
Yeah, but it should be on the front page.
It is.
So that people are aware of it.
There's a link there. What I did is I put on the fire ban, and then I also put a link to the BC whatever the forestry website is, and it has a link and it has all the information there. So
Just hold on that.
there's a mistake in that.
Okay, because I read out here from the fire chief's report, open fire bans in Coastal Fire Center, there are no open fire bans in place. That's what it tells me here.
And that was written for his May report. He's reporting for May. It was probably written on June 1st.
Oh, okay, I got it.
The ban went into effect about June 7th.
Okay.
Just let me I just want to kind of help the fire chief out here.
Yeah.
The fire chief went to a conference, and he gave me his report the day before he left, which was June the 6th. So and if I look in my notes right here, I've got it crossed out because and I meant to mention it, and then I never had an opportunity to do it yet. So you're absolutely right. If you go on our website, it says very clearly on there. I have a link put on there right to the thing. And as far as to address your concerns about the minutes, Martin has all the last minutes, and he's getting them caught up. Okay, I have my minutes finished. They're ready to go, and they'll be on the website tomorrow. So for the May 18th meeting, I'll have these minutes finished, and they'll be adopted at the next meeting. You won't have this problem again. It won't happen again. So we'll get this stuff on there. I mean, to come to Martin's defense, he just kind of walked in here and did his best to help out. So we will get all the past minutes approved, and we'll get them onto the website.
Also, in connection with the landowner's report, I did two information.
I realize that. They're just not on the website.
Okay, I get it. So,
I mean,
but they were mailed out with the humble as they were mailed out. We're going to do a little better job on that, by the way.
As they went out, they were also posted to the website under news or whatever. So
I'll get them on there.
Okay.
It's easy. So.
And one last thing, because I've heard a number of neighbors and other landowners asking, in this day and age of pagers to call out the firefighters, why does the damn siren have to go off. And people don't understand this, and this is maybe something that should be put in the landowners update. The main reason that siren goes off is not to alert the firefighters, it's to alert the public. If you've got sprinklers or anything else going, you're supposed to turn them off to allow for sufficient fire flow to fight the fire. And I think that's being lost somewhere in the whole process.
That's a very good point.
So-
And, you know, we should I will make mention of that in the next landowners update.
Yeah,
Okay?
it'll be timely.
Could you remind me of that? George?
But one thing about that, Dave, you know, at 2 o'clock in the morning when there's a medical call, maybe we can come to some kind of a consensus that, because it is a bad thing, it's unnerving at times. So if it's a medical call, maybe there can be some conditions made.
Yeah, I think that siren is triggered by the call center.
Yeah.
No, it isn't. Well, there's a switch in the fire department, you can turn it on or off, and it has been off for the longest time since they put an outside patio and that. We haven't really heard it. The one thing it will take is people working out in their yards don't always hear the pagers, and
Right.
so your response is going to be, a second page will go out because of that. But there's two things. We've always had somebody live out of district, and it hasn't always been the fire chief. And I would like to see the board look into the cost of training a volunteer firefighter from the time he puts his application in until he gets his certificate, 1001 certificate, and what is the average life of a volunteer fire department or firefighter that stays with the department.
Okay.
Because
Can you give that to me in the form of a note, okay? Or write it down? Because right now, I can't take the time to do that, but that's a very good.
well, he got it in his minutes.
She's a regular visitor at the office. She can come by and we'll get something down.
All right, good point.
I'll pour you a coffee and we'll figure it out.
Okay, is that it then? Okay. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
I move that this meeting's adjourned.
We're out of here.
Can I have this back? Did it help?
Hi, nice to meet you.
Yeah, wow.
This is kind of a nice change.
All without the camera.
I was smiling and other people were smiling at me at the same time, and I almost started laughing.
Yeah, sometimes.
You know, one of the things that I've really tried to do is just kind of because it's too easy to look at very fast. There's so much going on right now that I'm just trying to look for what's great. So that's kind of like if I go back, I'm not gonna spend a lot of time.
You mentioned in your intention that it's some plans down, and I thought this was all a transparent thing.
Well, some of it I saw your comments, I haven't had plans for it.
Oh yeah, it will be, but right now, until we get to the point where the board kind of, where we kind of level set, then we'll be able to connect to be able to show everybody.
Yeah, that would be kind of.
Because there's no point in bringing it forward now because it's a moving target. Like every time I meet with them,
Yeah, well, it's only been 20 years and nothing's happened. So it's been 20 years and nothing's happened. Nothing.
I have boats like the Atessa wanting to come here. You know who owns the Atessa? Dennis Washington. You know how big that boat is? Probably from here down past the... Yeah, it's huge. And, you know, I talk to these people.
Yeah, you bet.
They want to know when the outfit's on the golf course. But where is it? 20 years later, nothing. Yeah,
you know, it takes time. It's easy to say why was it this done, why was it that done. But there was committee shut down.
Everything was
the previous board.
I can't wait. So my boat's up in town. I don't play golf. I gotta go to town to play golf because I know.
And I agree. I mean, there's things that was done that was out of our control.
Well, my comment is probably public meetings, if you like.
Yeah, but previously, you know yourself, if there's reason to have it, and they've done it for the summer because people are on holidays and stuff like that.
Or signed, sealed, and delivered. Or signed, sealed, and delivered. Or signed, sealed, and delivered. Or signed, sealed, and delivered.